Pelagians believe that they have won some kind of point against Reformed theology by getting James White to admit that Adam had libertarian free will under pressure. James White is not infallible, and his answer is pretty good here, but it contains a slight inaccuracy, which I will inform you of after you listen to this brief dialogue.
Here's my question. Do you believe God has the freedom, since he is the one who wills, since it is up to him, does he have the freedom to give man the responsibility to believe?
Man has the responsibility to believe.
Okay, do you believe that if God purposes to design man with libertarian free will, as we call it, and then give him the responsibility to believe, can he do that if he wants?
Yeah, it didn't last long. That was called Adam.
Okay, so then if he did create Adam with libertarian free will, so then you would concede.
But even then, that libertarian free will existed under the decree of God, because it was not God's purpose that Christ was not going to come, the incarnation wasn't going to be necessary, stuff like that. But Adam is completely different than we are. Once the fall takes place, we're in Romans 5.
But you did affirm that he had libertarian free will.
Yes, as a creature.
Right.
In other words, he did not have a fallen nature.
Right. So when God created Adam, here's a man who had libertarian free will. Was God still sovereign when you had a man who had libertarian free will?
God was still sovereign because he then accomplished his purpose even in Adam, yes.
So then you do agree that for God is still sovereign, and that libertarian, let me ask you this way, you would believe then, and you would agree that being libertarianly free does not in any way oppose God being sovereign?
Libertarianly free as a creature. Right. Adam's choices were limited. Adam could not libertarianly freely choose to fly. So he was a creature. He had that freedom within that realm as an unfallen creature. So there's a limitation.
That would be the freedom to act on your will, right? Not the freedom to will. I mean, there is a distinction, right? In other words, you could will to fly, but not have the physical ability to carry out. I mean, I acknowledge the distinction. It sounds like you did too.
I don't know. I didn't hear that Benny Hinn sermon, so I can't comment on that.
I don't know nothing about Benny Hinn, but my question is...
Well, he thought Adam was had all these capacities and abilities and stuff. So.
That's all the time I have for this one.
So what's wrong with this? Why can't we compare Adam to us today, and why can't we say that Adam had libertarian free will, as the Pelagians describe it? Well, first of all, they've never established from Scripture that libertarian free will is on the table in the first place. Whether or not God can do something that you imagine is irrelevant, he can do things that you cannot imagine. The only two types of wills that a man can have today are explicitly described in Romans chapter 6. But what is Dr. White's inaccuracy here? Why can we not say that Adam had libertarian free will, though he was not yet enslaved to sin? They're both missing that libertarian free will has embedded within it the hidden presupposition of having a knowledge of the difference between good and evil, which is something we only have because of what Adam did. He knew of no such moral distinctions, so whatever kind of will he had cannot be compared with ours in any meaningful